Well, hello there. Welcome to Real WW Talk. I'm Candice.
And I'm Rikki.
And Erin is off tonight, but she will be back next week. We are here. Ricky's in a little different of an environment. We wanted to make sure to bring you the best quality look. Technical difficulties. I think
Yes.
starting off this week, if you were in the Maryland area, we were supposed to have like this huge snowstorm. And by the grace of God, it shifted. We were supposed to have like a
Yeah.
foot of snow, and we got
People
nothing.
were saying that. I never believed it. I feel like it was wishful thinking on a lot of people's parts, but
Yeah.
it
I
ended up
wanted
being
the snow. Ricky did not want the snow. I've always said I'm a weirdo. If it snows, I want it to be really big. I don't like piddly stuff, but I guess the
nothing.
shoveling and stuff, I also am probably using my husband because I'm not out there shoveling it. So, yeah. But how
Yeah,
was your
part of
week,
me.
Ricky? How have you been?
It's been pretty good. It's felt like a long week, even though it was a holiday week, and I had, Monday off. It was a long week. Not gonna lie, lots of busyness, lots of just deadlines, and we missed a lot of different days because of snow throughout the
Mhm.
winter, and I know we're still in it, but it's kind of catching up as far as you know making those meetings and finding out what the new deadlines are and just getting things done. But I've been sticking to my routines, bringing my lunch to work, and um, Valentine's Day was tough. I wouldn't say it was tough, but it's just one of those times
Mhm.
where there's constantly treats around. So I feel like I have some residual things left over from that, but I've been proud of myself that I didn't eat them all at once.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, all the chocolate hearts and Reese. For me, I'm
right.
a Reese lover, but they make everything Reese they can make into whatever the holiday is. If it's not a bunny
They
right
do.
now, it's hearts everywhere. So, but
Exactly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm
How
I'm
about
kind of glad
you?
to see I'm glad to see that holiday go, not because I didn't enjoy, celebrating with
Mhm.
David and all of that, but for the reasons that you said.
Mhm.
Because it's just if you're a sweets lover, it's just everywhere. I had to get some for my son's holiday party. I posted about this. I didn't know. Like this is a whole new world for me, being like a mother who is
Mhm.
supposed to bring Valentines for the other kids. Like these mothers
Yeah.
outdid me. They had like stuff from Etsy and like homemade
Wow.
things for the teachers. And I think I remember hitting you up and saying, was I supposed to do all that? Like I got some lollipops and put them on
Uh-huh.
one of those little Valentine's Day cards for the kids. And that was
Yeah.
about it. That's all you're
That's
getting.
okay. There's different layers of how people express, their love of a holiday, and
I feel
yours
like
is
that's
different.
that's you using your teacher voice to say that I suck as a mother and that I'm that one that you all are like, oh, Candace doesn't, yeah, she doesn't bring stuff she doesn't care about the
That
teacher.
is that is not what I was thinking. I promise.
That's okay. Well, my week, like I said, was good. And to you, I think it did feel like a longer week because even if it is snow or stuff, as a parent, I feel like I don't get a break. It's like if school is
Mhm.
closed, the kids are home. And it's been
Mhm.
so cold that I don't feel like going outside. Like that's the problem. Like even for walks, because I've been getting back to my daily walks and
Mhm.
it's so bitterly cold that it's like
Mhm.
I don't enjoy this at all. So I've been
Mhm.
doing the walks inside, but wanting to get fresh air has been tough. I'm ready for spring. And
Yes.
as you all may have seen, we put it in our group. If you are want to follow us on Facebook, you can go to Real WW Talk and find us there. I'll be posting it on Instagram as well. But our new step bet is accepting players. Our New Year one was very well attended and it just ended. So
Mhm.
congratulations
Yeah.
to all the winners of our New Year
Yay.
step bet. Ricky, I know you powered through. I powered through. I think Erin
I
did as well. So we all
did.
got our money
Mhm.
back. So we're
Yes.
proud.
Yeah.
I didn't take to it. Didn't you all didn't have to give me your money this time. But if you are interested in joining our step bet for spring, we sat down and we strategized this week because we want to make sure we're bringing it to you at the frequency that you want. So our next one, I believe, starts like March 17th, something like that.
Mhm.
But it's going to be
Yes.
another 6-week game. So if you want to join us, that'll be another good one, and that'll bring us into the warmer weather. So it'll be better
Mhm.
to walk out there. But I wanted to highlight another big thing going on in the Weight Watchers world. I know that you've seen posts about it. People are really going nuts over the expanded macros that they're showing.
Mm.
Like before, I know the two biggest ones that they just started highlighting or that you can add, and it is your choice to add it. You can add or subtract whatever macros you don't want to see, because I do know some people don't want to see it, but you can see calories now as well as sugar.
Mm.
And I saw in our Facebook group that Steve, he said, I'm loving the new calorie counter in the app. Even 0 point foods have calories, so it keeps me in check. I'm on maintenance now, and it helps me keep me in the range for him of 1,500 to 2,000 a day since he's in maintenance. So I know some people have not been able to see the calories yet. I think they're rolling it out pretty slowly. But Rikki, have you had a chance to kind of play around with it? What do you think?
I actually haven't. I've been focusing more on just the protein. So
Okay.
I've been extra focused on that. And I still, put mine on the GLP-1 setting because I liked that visual
Hmm.
more so than seeing the traditional points, even though I can swipe back and forth. So I know that popped out this week, but I've been focused just on the protein wheel.
Okay. Yeah, I played around with it and I loved it. And I found, interestingly enough, what Erin was saying. I found that
Mm-hmm.
I was not eating enough calories. Um,
Mm.
I was hitting my points target, but my calories were low. I was like, that's very intriguing.
Interesting.
Like in one day, I think I had like 1,200 calories. And I don't know if that's low or not, but it's like I was focused on a lot of probably lower calorie foods throughout the day that kept me full. But I know that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes if you're not eating enough calories, that can also cause your weight loss to stall. So I'm interested to see, as
Yeah.
I have this more information, if that's helpful, to me as I
Yeah.
am trying to continue, especially in this kind of like menopausal state that I'm in. I'm having to pay
Mhm.
attention, I feel, more to my macros. So
Yeah,
that was good. And I know Weight
absolutely.
Watchers also, I think you read something that you wanted to kind of talk about. They release an article or something?
Yeah, and I had been kind of telling the ladies like I feel like we should talk about dating. I feel like we should talk about relationships. But, it's not that you guys didn't support that. It was just there were other things we felt like our community, you guys want to talk about food, with like stamina, with like losing weight and just sticking in the game. But I found this article this week. It actually, if you get the emails from WW, it was in my inbox, and I was like, interesting. And they had one that was sent right after like Valentine's Day, right around that time, but then another one that was put in my inbox this week, and I just thought it'd be cool to talk about it. So we'll link the article in the show notes, and if you're looking for that, just check under, if you're listening to the podcast, under where we have our description. And the same thing on YouTube, you can check it out in the show notes. But so it talked about weight loss, and it says the hard truth and surprising lessons about love, dating, and on a weight loss journey. So they polled 1,163 members. And this is the first time in WW's 62-year history that they've ever polled people about this topic. So I think it's timely because I feel like people, this is something that I'm wondering if other people want to talk about or have considerations about, or worries about, and just don't have the community or the place to talk about it. But I know that the article basically starts off by talking about the questions that they asked people. And one of the things that they found was that like happy relationship weight is a thing. So people who are getting into relationships and who are content in their relationships do experience weight gain. Um, and they also polled people, and they talked about how people who are and have GLPs are supported by their family, and they feel like it does make their relationship life a little bit better. But it is harder for people who are actively losing weight or even on a GLP-1 to date, because they have to kind of disclose this information about them being on this shot, and how that's dynamic is changing in their life. They're looking a certain way, but they might look a different way a
Mhm.
year from now. So it just had a lot of interesting statistics. And one person, I thought this was interesting, what said, my worst experiences have been lewd comments made by men who, quote unquote, appreciate a curvier woman, but in a kink or a fetish type of way. So I think there's a lot of these really interesting quotes in here, and I highly recommend checking out this article because I just related to it personally because as someone who's been heavier for a long time, I've felt in my own mind, oh, this is a barrier to dating.
Yeah.
Because I've felt like it's going to make it so people don't find, or, men, because I'm seeking, a male partner, like, will not find me as attractive. But that's not always the case. Women prove that wrong all the time. So why is it that some women find it as a barrier to dating and other women don't? Like, I think that's kind of where I'm landing in that. And I don't know, Candice is someone who's been in the dating world for a while now, is in the married side of things. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I've run the gamut. I thought it was timely with Valentine's Day because that always evokes a lot of emotions with people.
Yeah.
Because you have the couples who are oversharing, on social media. And, if you're single, like, oh, all I got is Valentine's Day or whatever you do. But I have shared very openly. I used to have a YouTube channel. I guess I still do have a YouTube channel, but I don't post on there anymore. But when I was going through my weight loss journey initially, I did a video talking about being overweight and dating and how, just like you said, I was single at the time. I was doing online dating because I'm not like the club goer type. I'm more of a homebody. So online was always something that was intriguing to me because it was more my speed. But I always found that men use certain terms when you were dating online, like, I'm a fit guy who really likes to go to the gym. And I really want a fit girl who loves health. And to me, I read into it like, I don't want a fat girl. Like, I added things to it that they may or may not said because I was insecure. Was I right? Maybe. And I think for some it was a barrier because I wasn't comfortable with myself. And when I met my husband, I had been working with my therapist and was telling my therapist a lot of the things that probably were said in that article. Like, it's really hard to find somebody because my weight is going to be changing or my weight's going to change throughout my whole life. And I don't know if I'm going to find someone who'll love me for me. And when I met my husband, he was interested in me for me, and he found me attractive. And I found myself pushing him away. And I think that I haven't read that article yet, but I know that that's a shared experience that I've talked to a lot of other people who curvy, overweight, whatever, just maybe not confident in their bodies, how that could be hard when somebody is accepting of you at your size and you're not labeling them as, oh, well, what's wrong with you? Instead of what's right with you because I'm a great person. So I had to really work through that because I almost started to push him away when we started dating because it was a confidence thing for me. But as I worked on that and realized that, yes, we actually were connected, I also really, really, really relate to the whole, like when you're the happy weight gain. Oh my gosh. It's like, I feel like when you're in a couple, you find that your weights go up and down together. Like the positive things that you do impact your partner and the negatives, So it's all nuanced, but I definitely feel that it's a conversation that needs to be had because a lot of it really, to me, boils down to the confidence that we tend to lack and the expectations that are put on us by society to look a certain way. Even if we have, and I think we also have expectations of others. Like you may say, I want someone who's looks this certain way, even if I don't. Like it's made me look at what did I want in a partner as well. So have you ever looked at that too? Because you think of the show This Is Us. You remember how they met like in a Weight Watchers meeting, one of the characters.
Yes.
And you're like, well, I don't want a partner who's overweight because what if they're overweight and I'm trying to lose weight? Like, I don't want that. Have you ever struggled with thoughts like that?
Yeah, and it's less about, because I think there is a lot of fat shaming in the world, a lot, and I think I already worry about myself going into public spaces, and I'm just getting to the point where I'm saying, as I am on this journey to lose weight, to be in a healthier place, both mentally and physically, I I deserve to take up space.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm trying to be in the way, or I'm trying to be, whatever stereotypical thing people think, like a slower person when I'm walking or whatever it is. But I deserve to walk at whatever pace I can walk. I'm grateful that I can walk. I'm grateful that I'm able to go places and, do things that I enjoy. But I think one of my own stigmas is that I don't want to draw more attention to myself. So if
Yeah.
I've thought about, well, what if I was on a date with somebody who was also plus size?
Hmm.
Would I feel like we're just gonna be drawing everyone's attention and people are gonna make fun of us? I think I get into my head and I
Hmm.
think 5 steps ahead of what has happened. It's not like I haven't turned anyone down because they were plus size, but when I've thought about who I'm attracted to, I felt like I'd like to be attracted to someone who is more fit. Also,
Hmm.
because I'd like to think that their lifestyle would continue, that they would continue being fit, and as I continue being fit, we could both be fit together. But again, I think we do idealize a lot of things
Yeah.
in our mind when we think about relationships in general. Um,
And
yeah.
one of the things, because as I married David after meeting him online and after getting past all of the things, and what you really what it boils down to, at least in my experience, because everyone's different, and I would never get on here and say this is how it's going to be. But once you recognize the humanness of whoever it is, they're a human being just like you are. They have their own um, things that they love and things that they don't. They have their own desires, they have their own likes, and they have their own fears and insecurities. And I think once I accepted that too, and instead of me focusing so much, like you said, on, I had to kind of stop being so self-absorbed, because part of,
Hmm.
you know, coupling up and stuff is realizing that you're trying to find a place where we both kind of fit together, and being so
Hmm.
absorbed with, well, what about this, and what am I, and how is this going to affect me? um it didn't allow me space to learn him. And once I let that
Hmm.
go, I was able to kind of move forward. And I think that was the biggest thing. The biggest blessing was learning that in order to be in a successful relationship, it really is less about, not that your wants don't matter, but it's less about being a
Hmm.
focus on what am I looking like and what am I doing here, and really trusting the person to tell you. If they tell you they like you, they like you. If they
Right.
tell you you're attractive, I'm going to assume you're right. I think I'm pretty great. You know what I mean? That's why I keep saying confidence is usually
Mhm.
the thing that it always comes back to. And there's a little bit of faking it until you make it. And being honest. I was honest with
Mhm.
David. I said, I'm insecure with this stuff.
Mhm.
This is something that I'm working on. And he was like, well, this is something, I mean, aren't we all working on something? I felt
Yeah.
safe there. So it allows, because I think that as you go through life, you're going to find that you're going to have times where so many different things could change physically. So many things can change. It
Mhm.
has nothing to do with weight. I went through a
Yeah.
breast cancer journey. So I wanted
Yeah.
somebody that I was looking at from that angle. So Weight
Mhm.
Watchers and doing all the things, I think, can be hard. It can be hard to
Yeah.
discuss, because society makes it hard to discuss. You don't, you
Yeah.
have a lot of people who act like they're just perfect. And I just think it's being honest,
Yes.
saying I'm not.
Well, I think another piece of that we idolize is the end of the journey. We know through all of our discussions and meetings, and from chatting with all the wise people who've made it to lifetime, that it doesn't end at
It
lifetime.
doesn't
and
end.
and there's so many things, and I think about being, I don't want to say on the other side of this, because again, there's not another side. This is just
Mhm.
life. But I think about how people who are at goal, whether you have lost 10 pounds or 110 pounds, is it always a conversation about, why you're eating a certain way, or like the boundaries that you have to put up? Like, yeah, I don't want to always go out to dinner if you're newly dating
Mhm.
someone, and you have to
Mhm.
tell them, like, this is what, like, that's a challenge that I think might come up sooner because so much of dating seems to be around like, let's go
Mhm.
meet for coffee, let's meet here. And
Yeah.
then thinking about the people who have lost more weight and are dealing with things like loose skin,
Yeah.
I that is something that has terrified me as far as
Mhm.
like my body is what some people might say, it's not perfect right now.
Mhm.
It's never
Mhm.
going to be perfect. But you're kind of trading in one challenge. This is something the article talked about. You're trading in one challenge, which might be a larger belly and, flabby arms and,
Mhm.
thick legs for a smaller body that has excess
Mhm.
skin. And as
Yeah.
much as you work out, you may not get to a point where you have what is considered normal skin. And then I see people who've had these surgeries and things, and then you have scars all over your body. So it's like it, it's something you live with at whatever part of the journey you're at.
And that's why I really am trying to think about it and ask people and myself to think about it less about weight, because all those things that you brought up could be caused by things that are not weight. You could have a
Mm.
baby and have loose
Hmm.
skin, and that you could have been
Hmm.
in the best shape of your life, but you had a child.
Yeah.
So if your belly isn't perfect, but it carried your baby, does that mean that you're worried that the person you're with is going to love you less? You could have gone through
Hmm.
cancer and you have a
Hmm.
port. My scar right here.
Hmm.
I could forever be self-conscious about it. But it meant
Yeah.
that I went through something and I made it to the other side. I can't
Hmm.
change it. I didn't have a scar when I met David, you know.
Yeah.
Bodies change for reasons that have nothing to do, and I think that that's something that if you were to think about who you were 10 years ago, and
Hmm.
especially if you're trying to be with someone for the long haul, you're emotionally not the same person. The things that you liked then, I can't even tell you. We did this. I think you and I were doing it on the plane. What we were eating like 10 years ago. And you're like, I don't even eat
Uh-huh.
that anymore. Like, I don't even, I used to love lean cuisines. I don't know, I'm making this up.
Yeah.
And now I haven't touched it. Like our
Hmm.
palates change, our desires. So as you grow, I'm looking for someone to grow with me. And that's why even when we're talking about something that seems so important with weight now, it's
Hmm.
what really am I learning about myself in this process? How am I learning? I would more want to express to somebody, this is how I'm learning how to love myself. This is how I'm
Hmm.
treating myself well. And I'm sad to hear that there's people, and I can understand it though, who feel like they need to hide the things that they're doing
Hmm.
to keep themselves healthy. And I still think, would you agree that's probably still just because of the stigma that's out
I
about
mean,
trying to lose weight?
probably.
Or yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, I was just watching a TV show while I was eating dinner today, and they were
Mhm.
joking about the actors on the show, and they were saying, "Oh, go do some Ozempic or whatever you actors do." And it's
Mhm.
like if you are someone who is on a drug like that, and it's
Mhm.
saving your life, it's helping
Mhm.
you to be healthier and doing what it's supposed to do. It shouldn't be made fun of. That you need to take one route and someone else took a different route.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So whether that's with dating or with friendships or with anything, I think that we just tend to use it because I think that I always think of what's the movie? Bridget Jones' Diary. Do you remember that
Mm.
movie? And she started off every journal with her weight. Today, dear
Mhm.
diary, I'm 153 pounds. I gained 2 pounds today. This. We are so obsessed. We're so obsessed with the
Mhm.
numbers. We're so obsessed with, you know, using that as a way to show our worth.
Mhm.
And I think that is what that article and other things are probably are finding, that those who may have found their partners earlier in life or later, you got to get past that barrier of
Mm.
using weight. And do you really want a person who's going to be so focused on that too? Like those guys who are
Right.
like, I want someone who's fit. I want someone like that's great. I
Right.
feel I am, but I don't think we're meaning it the same way. And
Mm.
I had to realize I didn't want those guys because I was
Mhm.
trying to get everyone to like me instead of just like the one person who was for me.
Exactly. I think, I was talking about this with my therapist the other day. It shouldn't be that hard. And I say
No.
that not to belittle the dating or the relationship scene, but it's like, if there's someone that is pursuing me, or if I'm, interested in someone, it shouldn't be that I have to act like a different person, or
Right.
become a different weight, or dress a different way in order to get their love and affection. Like,
Mhm.
that's not, I shouldn't have to do any of that.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of what I think we've grown up watching. I mean, I know Grease is before both of our times, but we both probably grew up watching it. It's like,
Mhm.
what that movie, it's like, it took us too long to get to the point where we were like, this is not
Let's
really a
change
great message.
ourselves. Yes. Yeah.
She just, Sandy is just a whole nother person, and
Yeah.
now we're just okay with that because she got the guy. He
But I
did
bet
kind of put on like that varsity sweater though,
he
so
did the
he
thing. John Travolta was like, "Hold on one second." But I think if you were to put a poll up in our group, I almost can guarantee you, of those who are coupled, even those, and they were, if they were to tell you how they met their spouse or where they are,
Mhm.
like, the concept of weight, I just don't feel like it was a big part of
Mhm.
how it happened. I could be wrong, and I'm probably
And
thinking about mine.
mhm. I think you're right. I think what it does go back to is what you're saying is confidence. And for, I think, a lot of people, confidence has been tied to weight for so long that it just feels like it's the same
Confidence and
issue.
vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Allowing yourself to be vulnerable, because I think
Mm-hmm.
what we're trying to do is stop ourselves from being hurt. And you're just never
Yeah.
going to be able to, especially when I think you're going through a dating process. You just can't, because part of
Yeah.
it is putting down your defenses and saying, "Here I am.
Mm-hmm.
Hi." And I see you, you see me. It's so like, you can find so many romantic movies. Go ahead.
So
Which
are
one are
you
you thinking
thinking
of?
about, okay, I don't know
Go
if
ahead.
I'm reading your mind, if you're going another direction, but
No, go
we've
ahead.
had this conversation before, but I used to love Never Been Kissed,
Oh,
and Drew Barrymore. It was one of those classic 2000s, early 2000s movies. And
I'm not
there's this,
Josie Grossi anymore. Sorry.
if you haven't seen it, please go see it. It's like, it's
Let's be
problematic
real
in
though.
some.
Okay, there's some things, don't look like the brother being
So
in high school. There's not like, don't think like it's
yeah,
very realistic. Okay.
yes, there's a consistent theme in these like early 2000s movies where you're like, there's one aspect of it that's like really inappropriate, but everybody was like, did not care about. But yeah, ignore the older brother dating the teenager. That was wrong.
Yeah.
but Drew Barrymore's character is basically like having these flashbacks to when she was in high school, and when she was humiliated, and this guy who she thought really liked her, he was the most popular guy in school, and they made her the nerdiest looking person. I mean, like, braces and big, I think she had big glasses and big
Yes.
hair and this dress with the giant
And the
ugly
pink
poof. I
poofs.
mean,
Yes.
scrunchy with the hair on the, like, it was just everything
Yes.
wrong. And
Every
then she's
stereotype.
waiting out
Every
in the limo.
stereotype.
Every stereotype. She's waiting for the limo to come to take her to prom, and the most popular guy, he comes out of the limo and he looks like he's lifting up a rose, but he's got an egg and he throws it at her. And I
She's like,
feel like I have
oh,
had, it's so
she's
dramatic.
so dramatic.
And
Like, sorry.
yes, and I feel like I have been trying to avoid being hurt like that since.
Rikki,
Not like
you
it
are
was me.
not Josie Grossi.
I'm not
Okay.
Josie
You are
Grossi.
not Josie Grossi. Okay. And I think, but yes, but we take it to an extreme, right? To
Yes.
protect ourselves. That's why I
Yes.
said the big V word, vulnerable, and
Mm-hmm.
letting your guard down and saying, maybe,
Yeah.
just maybe I could be hurt, but maybe I won't be hurt, you
Yes.
know?
This is why I recommend, I don't know if you've started reading it yet, but Worthy by
Oh,
Jamie Kern Lima. She was one of the speakers at one of the WW's like events last year. And this book really does a good job of putting that in perspective. And it talks about defense mechanisms and how
mhm.
we use them to avoid pain and avoid these things. But if we could label our pain and label feedback. For example, in the dating world, oh, that date didn't work out, that relationship didn't work out, instead of labeling it as, oh, I did something wrong, I it's wrong with me, it didn't work out, XYZ, and I'm going to move forward. Like, I think a lot of it is the perspective we take when we remember things that have happened to us, and whether it's in relationships or, again, not avoiding reality, but like, let's shifting our perspective.
I mean, and you have to do it, right? You have to find a way to think of it differently, or else you're just going to keep staying stuck. And like, if you're not getting the outcome that you want, like, that's where I was always at. I had a friend who was way too pushy when I was single, and she was like, what do you want? If you keep with this thinking this way, you're never going to get these things. And I said, well, it got to the point where I said, why not try? Like you said, I didn't like where I was. And I said, it's not serving me to do it this way. I'm going to have to give it a chance. And if I get hurt, I get hurt. And if I don't, and if I get hurt, I learn. Yeah. And if I don't get hurt, maybe I find the love of my life. And for me, that worked. See, but I always like to give that caveat and that out to say that's not everyone's story, because I do feel like people try to sell, this is the way to do it. And I think it just is core things that you believe about yourself, and then letting things fall where they may. I love this conversation. There's just so many ways that it can go. Rikki, I'm glad that you brought it even then. And I'm glad that Weight Watchers talked about it, because you see, it's a topic that people want to hear. So let's continue the conversation. I want to hear, did weight play a role in you meeting your loved one? Or do you have any things that you would like to add to this conversation? Let us know. You can find us on our Facebook group we talked about earlier. Just search Real WW Talk. You can follow us on Instagram. You can always listen to us on the podcast. We love that you take us on your walks, especially when it's really cold outside. And you can find us, I said, Instagram, and we are on Connect. Our handles are there. We're trying to do better. I'm just going to be honest. I haven't been posting a lot in Connect, but Rikki, maybe you're going to be the one that does it this week. Yeah, we're working on it, guys. Okay. And thank you again to everyone who has supported the podcast. We call it buying us like a little cup of coffee. That's an option that you have, that we have in the link, but we have full-time jobs. So being able to get some assistance from our community allows us to give you the quality podcast that you get every single week. So Erin will be back next week. Rikki, always a pleasure.
Yes,
and until then, we'll see you next week. Bye.
All right. Bye.